At the time that you are telling yourself, I want to quit work and I want to start something of my own, there are a good number of things that you actually need to look at. What are your responsibilities? What are your responsibilities? That's a very important one. I have made so much more money from Salaula in 1 year than I've ever made from consulting in 3 years. But do you also know that those women you see seated on the floor selling Salaula, they are building houses, not from loans. Just because you and I are getting a 10,000 kwacha per month does not mean that I should spend it the same way with you. Because he buys a BMW or he buys a Benz, you are saying, I want to buy a Benz. Well, maybe he doesn't pay rent.
There's some people that want to go into certain businesses, but the fear is there are too many people doing this. You know, like the market is oversaturated. How do I stand out?
People don't buy a product they don't know. They don't buy a product they don't understand. A closed mouth is a closed shop.
It's time for the big conversations, telling stories of movers and shakers, of industry giants and daring professionals. It's time for the conversations that change your perspective on life, the kind of conversations that shape entrepreneurs and move careers forward. If you don't know where these conversations are found, we are sending you a GPS. But if you're listening to this voice right now, you are here. Welcome to the Growth Podcast. This is the GPS.
Episode number 32 is here. Thank you very much for joining the podcast once again. Happy to see you. Our guest is already smiling. He's got a lot to give. There's so much that we give on the podcast. I think we should start charging for this information. But yeah, there's so much to give on the podcast this week. If you've been following the podcast, I think we've had, I don't want to say people from all walks of life, because I feel like that's exaggerated, but there's some truth in it. We're having another conversation on the podcast this week, and our focus is on entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs as in those who are in business, but those who are reflecting, going into business, those that tried business and it failed and you want to come back. This one is going to be for you. My guest today is Mr. Emmanuel Mukula. He is a life coach, he is a consultant, he is a motivational speaker. Are you a motivational speaker?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he's a motivational
In the life
speaker.
Coaching, there's motivation.
Yeah, because I know some people don't like the motivational speaker tag. You know, I don't know why.
I'll tell you what. It's every profession has got stones being thrown to it. And I think it's about being ready for it, really. I don't have a problem being called a motivational speaker. That's what I am.
Okay.
Yes, but I would rather be called a life coach.
A life coach. Okay, good. So he is a life coach, he's a consultant. He's an entrepreneur himself. And he's going to talk to us about a lot of things, like I did say, around business. First of all, let me start with, how did you find yourself in the space where you are? How did you find yourself as a consultant? How did you find yourself in, talking business, motivation, and things of that nature?
Okay. Thank you, Suilanji. I'm really grateful that you could actually have me here. It's humbling. I'm grateful. How did I start my journey? For me, I think there's been a leader in me from way back. And this was actually made pretty profound in me when I was actually, I got an opportunity of being head boy at school. So for me, that started. I had a very interesting way of dealing with people that did something wrong at school. Instead of punishing them, I had this way of, I would rather talk to you, And what I saw was there was quite an amazing impact on those that I actually used to talk to. And I told myself, you know what? Why do I need to punish people if I can talk to them and really understand why, or rather what brings about their behaviors and offer a solution? And that for me became really interesting. And I had a lot of the way I behaved in that year, that was 2002 when I was actually head boy, the way I behaved in that year had so much to do with what was on my head, because I was telling myself, look, I'm head boy and I fail in my school. What's going to happen? Well, how are people going to look at me? So it changed the way I look at things. It changed the way I approach life. It changed the way that I actually do so many things in my life. When I went to college, I went and started. I was actually at NIPA. I did my human resource. And after that, my desire was definitely to actually do what it is that I really wanted. Of course, lead people, help people out in human resource. I was not lucky to get a job in human resource. Even before I actually finished my school at NIPA, I got a job with Celtel. That was sometime back in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. I got a job with, Celtel, worked there for some time in customer service. Then I get another job in customer service and sales at MTN. So I'm telling myself, okay, so I really want to actually get into management. I want to, because my desire is to train. My desire is to look at how best I can, make the welfare of employees better. That's my desire. But then I'm not getting that. Okay, from MTN, I'm moving again. I'm going to Pepsi, and I'm in sales. From MTN, from Pepsi, I'm moving to Radiant stores. Later, I'm with iConnect. All sales. Then I was telling myself, okay, fine. This is what it is that I've always wanted, and I'm not getting any lucky. I'm not getting these jobs that allow me to do what it is that I really want. What then do I do? The thought of me setting up my own thing now began to, come out. So I remember I now began to struggle. Even while I was working, I was telling myself, am I really happy here? And definitely I wasn't actually happy, not because I couldn't draw satisfaction from the job, but because I really wanted to do that which I wanted, and that was training. So I remember a time, I think somewhere in 2015, I was actually doing some consulting. I was doing something with, I was actually in sales again with movie TV. I remember times whenever it is I was actually free, I could call, my mentor, Dr. Kelvin Sukuni. I would tell him, look, do you have any training that you need to do? I'm on leave or I'm doing this. And he would tell me, you know what, tag along. So we're in Livingston or we're in Siavonga doing that training. And I started telling him, I'm stopping work. And he told me, what do you have? Do you have a house? Do you have a plan on how you're going to survive and everything? I said, look, yes, I've got kids. Then I was divorced. I had no wife. Something I really don't talk about. But, I talk about it because I feel it is something that a lot of people can actually draw from, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, so I told him I'm quitting work. And he told me, I'm not okay with you quitting work. I'll keep doing what it is I'm doing. I'll let you tag along. We do the training. If you want to do some motivation, I'll do that. But I feel you need to build yourself a little more and see how best you can, do this. I said, I'm stopping. 3 months later, I called him and I told him I'm stopping. I've stopped work. I'm not working with Movie TV anymore. I want to do my own thing. And when I actually started doing what it is that I'm actually doing, it was quite a marathon. It was difficult. It took a lot of convincing. It took a lot of some people, especially those that I actually worked with. I wouldn't say they didn't have faith in me, but I think there was a lot of familiarity. So it was very difficult for me to actually get help from there. I am getting it now, maybe because of the consistency, and they've seen, okay, it's the Mupama Pamo sort of arrangement where he's kept hitting on one thing and now he's actually getting there. So I'm getting that, I help. I'm getting a lot of, collaborations with a number of people that I actually worked with. So I began to get opportunities. They could call me, and I remember Zamtel tried me, and I'm forever grateful. They could call me on Women's Day to just do some motivation to women, and I would do that. And believe me, I started writing down my profile. So then I had Zamtel. Then I talked to Dr. Kelvin Sukuni and I said, do you remember those guys that we did team building for in Livingston? He says, yes, I remember. Can I have them on my profile? He said, please go ahead. You were a part of it. And I put them there. I remember a few times, maybe a few months later, I was doing my own customer service training. I had quite a number of people that actually came, especially those that had seen that I actually was getting a lot of experience. I think at about 30 people from different organizations, that was on my profile. I was picking people that, came for that. And now, because of it wasn't easy, and even the payments that I was actually getting then were very compromised. Why? Because I was looking at I was looking at myself and telling myself, I've just started. I need a name. I need a company that I can refer to. So let me do it for something at least and, build my name. But I'll tell you what, over the years, I'm a very grateful person. We don't have to push so much. There has to be somebody we impressed that tells another organization. And today, I can comfortably say that we've worked with over 90 very reputable organizations within the country. That includes SCCM Investment Holdings, Zambia National Commercial Bank, SIDCO, Zambia Breweries. The list is endless. And one thing that I would tell somebody is consistency. Firstly, believe in yourself and be practical about it. Don't just believe, act with it, be consistent with it. One thing that I've always taught people, whoever has come to me and they're asking for advice regards business, I've given them one advice and I tell them, I've told you a lot of things, but don't forget this. Consistency builds confidence. No matter how someone is going to look at you when you start, there'll be a point at which they are going to change the way they look at you because of just how much consistency, how much seriousness you've actually shown towards what it is that you actually want to do.
There are a lot of people that are on the verge of quitting their jobs because you know that thing where you start with a side hustle.
Yeah.
As time moves, you feel like, you know what, let me maybe jump into my own business because I'm not getting as much satisfaction from my job like the experience was with you. What do you think they should consider before they jump, like they completely jump ship?
I'll tell you what, my story should not be another person's story. Situations are different. And I think when at a time that you are telling yourself, I want to quit work and I want to start something of my own, there are a good number of things that you actually need to look at. What are your responsibilities? That's a very important one. If you have a wife, you have a responsibility to provide for that wife. If you are renting a house, you have a responsibility to pay rent for that house. What is your plan? What is your plan as you actually begin? Okay? I've got very interesting advice for people that want to come out and begin to do something. I tell them, look, if you are telling yourself, I want to quit work and begin something of my own, I say, I want you to find a cash cow. I want you to find that cash cow. If you can find it, then I will be comfortable to tell you, you know what, go out there and actually stop work. When I started doing the consulting, the training and everything, I was busy talking about how that I'm MC for, I'm MC. I can actually MC a wedding, I can MC a corporate event. So what began to happen was a situation where if I stay for a month without training, there's a good chance that maybe I did 2, MC works so I could pay rent and I could pay school fees for my kids. You understand? If you are looking at wanting to stop work, what is it that you are doing to create some sort of a safety net during the times that it's going to be really difficult for you? If, let's take, for instance, you want to go out and you want to actually start consultancy, well, you don't get business every day. There are times when I've sat at home for even 2, 3, 4 weeks, even 1 month, and I've not got any work. The question is, where am I getting the money to feed my kids, to feed my wife, to take care of my wife? Where am I getting that money? I have got another business that I actually do. That's an example of me. So if you are out there and you're telling yourself, I want to stop work, I tell people this. If you're a man, start by empowering your wife. Empower your wife. If she's not working, find something that she can do that can bring you some money. Secondly, if there's even a grocery that you can open and get yourself maybe a 250 or a 300 kwacha every day from it, start by opening it and try and build it. At the time that you are stopping work, you are telling yourself, when the worst comes to the worst, at least I would have paid my rent, at least I would have paid my school fees, and we would have bought some food at home. When you build that, it then gives you that, comfort to say, you know what, let me now go out and seriously push that which that I actually want. When we are doing training ourselves, what happens is that, like I've said, there are times you stay and you don't have that work. But when I get it after 2 weeks or after that 1 month, I know it's good money. I'm getting a 30,000 kwacha. I'm getting a 50. I'm getting 100,000 kwacha. But what is happening in between? There was a time that we actually had COVID. I didn't have work for close to a year. Okay? What was happening? I have a Salaula business that I actually run. And believe me, I'm seated here. I know something is going on there. So do I want to buy fuel? I know I have money to buy fuel. Do I want to pay school fees? I know I will get money from there. So start by building some sort of a safety net. Find a cash cow. Find something that can give you money on a daily basis and allows you to eat, allows you to drive around with your vehicle, allows you to pay for your rent. When you are able to do that, then you can go out because you will have your family taken care of. If you are single, maybe it's a different story. But if you are married and you have got children, I believe that this is something that you seriously need to work on.
You mentioned the Salaula business, and I was going to ask you about that at some point. For some people, they look at Emmanuel Mukula as established, does consultancy. You mentioned big organizations that you do consultancy for. And then that same Emmanuel Mukula, tomorrow he's, advertising Salaula. Talk me through that. And why I'm saying that is because in Zambia there's that thing of Noah Vutika, Kozakusa Saraula, that kind of thing where they feel like he's on his way out, or
I've got a very, very interesting way to answer you with that one. When I started doing that, when I started selling the bells, I'm actually doing the bells, and now we're in the process of opening retail stores. We already have 2. Okay. I've got a friend of mine that is working for a bank that called me. So why would you want to actually start selling Salaula? And I told him, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't I sell it? And he says, okay, fine. Is it even giving you money? And I said, okay, fine. How much are you getting? Not to brag. And I asked him, I said, how much are you getting? And he told me, well, I'm getting about 25,000 kwacha. And I told him, you know what? Sometimes half the day, that's what I make from that Salaula.
Half a day?
Yes. This period we are starting for winter, half the day I'll make your salary. So why shouldn't I do it? I'm asking you too, Soilanji, why shouldn't I do it? During my winter periods, I will make that kind of money. Why shouldn't I do it? If I want to go to Dubai today with my wife, I'll go. And I don't have to break a bank from Salaula. Do you want me to start posting photos of a house that I have built within a period of 2 years? I've spent over 2 million kwacha from Salaula. Why shouldn't I do it?
The reason I asked...
No. I'm getting what you're saying, but I'm trying to give you a picture of what it is that it actually does. So now, would you rather, and I know where you're going to, would you rather have a situation where someone looks at you and says, oh, fine, he's always in a tie, he's always in a suit, so obviously he actually has some money? That's not business.
I was saying the reason I'm asking is because there are so many people.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes even me inclusive. There are so many people that hold back from activities that can make them money because they're so concerned about what are they going to think about me. The image, the watch. I can't start selling vitumbua. If we advertise no freezes for sale paget, wafutika. You get a point. And there's so many people who it's like you'd rather have this image that you have money when you don't than actually do the dirty work that would get you the good money, but you hold back because you are worried about no conchito. I go at work.
You see the reason why today we actually have a lot of people, and I'm going to try and be a bit blunt with you. You know why we have a lot of prostitution in Zambia today? It's because people do not accept where they are. So because they don't accept where they are, they can't start from where they should start from. They believe they should start from there. That's what they believe. You know why today we have a lot of people stealing in organizations? It's because they are trying to live beyond their means. He has a salary and he's not willing to do something maybe a little dirty outside. And when I say dirty, I don't mean illegitimate. No, I mean legitimate work. He's not willing to do that because he's saying, how are people going to look at me? You understand?
Yeah.
But look, when I take a trip and I take my wife to South Africa, well, I now laugh and say, I got money from Salaula. Are you getting my point? It's legitimate. It's legitimate business, okay? It's legitimate business. It's a business that I do and I am very happy with. And I don't go on the stand myself and begin to shout and say, hey, Bodani Mutenge Salaula. Things have really been made better. We have these platforms where we're actually advertising and everything. I think I've brought a really interesting mix to it because I'll do these very nice graphics, post on social media and everything. If there are people that still look at it and say, why should he sell Salaula? I think I've got a really good reason for it. I have made so much more money from Salaula in 1 year than I've ever made from consulting in 3 years. That's what I can tell you. And the question should be, what is your motivation to want to actually do something? I used to do Salaula from the time I was actually, young and I'd started work. I would buy a bell, open, pick the pieces, go and sell at work and everything. I used to do that. Then now I told myself, I now need to, open something of my own and sell as who sell. That's very different, okay? That's very different, and that's a different level altogether. Guys that are selling Salaola in Zambia today are opening filling stations today from Salaola. The question is, what would you rather do? Would you rather do a job that pays you a 5,000 kwacha and be in your suit and tie every day, or you would rather do something that has to keep you in jeans? And a few days ago, I was actually, you remember that time, that book launch for Yangeni?
Yes.
That we actually did.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Yangeni had to call me and tell me to say, I don't want you to come in jeans. I want you to come in a jacket.
Because you're always in your hustle.
Yeah, because believe me, my dressing is, sneakers, I'm wearing jeans, maybe a shirt. Of course, I want to look clean. That's enough. You understand? The question is, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I trying to get out of that? I am pushed to talk about the kind of money that I make from it because clearly people look down on it. But do you also know that those women you see seated on the floor selling Salaola, they are building houses, not from loans, from Salaola.
And I so you see, I feel like it's a money management problem.
Yeah.
There are some people in organizations where a manager is renting a house and the driver is building and is moving into his own house.
Yeah.
The disparity in their salaries.
Yes.
Where, for example, you've got people who are below you who get little money. Maybe others, I don't know, they hustle elsewhere or whatnot. But you who's, like Vapa Mwamba, you
Yes.
seem to have a problem with managing money. Where does that come from?
I'll tell you one of the things that people struggle with, especially when it comes to issues of money. Number one, I'll tell you, Suilanji, if you don't earn like them, don't live like them. In fact, create some sort of a distance and don't play with them. The reason is very simple. You can know them, you can spend some time with them, but the idea of you always being with them means that you are going to places where they go, you are drinking from places they drink from, you want to drive the car that they drive, you want to eat like them. You understand? But look, I could be with you and you are making yourself $1 million, maybe a month, and I'm making myself maybe 50,000 kwacha. Why should I start to compare with you? It doesn't make sense. You see, we seem to have a really big problem when it comes to issues of self-esteem amongst our people. You are so uncomfortable with who you are that you would rather have a situation where you get close to somebody and be seen to be like them. The question is, at what expense? So you have people that are in constant loans because they have to drive a BMW, wear a suit every day and wear a tie because that's the image. You understand? Then you have people who they want to, if it's our women, they want to do Brazilian hair, they want to have an iPhone, and it's nowhere close to what it is that they can actually manage. And those are the things that I was talking about, where today we have people that are prostituting, men are stealing, some are in prison. Why? Because you failed to accept where you are. That's a big thing. We need to get to a place where we accept where we are. And when we accept where we are, firstly, the other thing is that we also need to understand our responsibilities. Just because you and I are getting a 10,000 kwacha per month does not mean that I should spend it the same way with you. I don't know where your parents are. You don't know where my parents are. You don't know how many people have finished school in my family who need help. Understand your situation and be able to know what it is that you actually need to do. Why should you go to Mandai to do your shopping when your budget says that you actually need to go to Soweto and buy stuff that is cheap from there? Why do you want to live in Kablonga when your budget says you need to live in Chilenje? Why do you want to be in New Kasama somewhere there when your budget says rent a house in, Matero? These are things that we need to begin to come back to and be true to ourselves. When you are true to yourself, life becomes very easy. Maybe that is why I'm selling Salaola, because I didn't have money and I saw there was an opportunity. So I'm selling it because I want the money. You understand? So we need to get to a place where we really begin to get so comfortable in our own skin and tell ourselves, I don't care what Soilanji does. He doesn't know where I'm coming from. He doesn't know how I'm suffering. He doesn't know what I have to take care of, but I will be myself. I can be friends with him, which is good, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be changed and begin to live a life that he lives because I have my own responsibilities. He has his own. Some people we see today are coming from families whose fathers left them something. You understand? But then because he buys a BMW or he buys a Benz, you are saying, I want to buy a Benz. Well, maybe he doesn't pay rent and you have to part away with the 5,000 every month and your salary is 8,000. So we need to begin to appreciate where we are. And one of the things that I've actually come to learn is that people that fail to accept where they are find it extremely difficult to grow. Why do they find it difficult to grow? Because they don't even know where to start from. But when you understand who you are, you understand where you're coming from, and you're comfortable, you are telling yourself, I don't mind selling my salaula because I know where I'm coming from. I've had to do everything on my own. I left my father's house with a blessing. And done. You understand? So it's about me trying to make the life that I want out of what I need to do. And may that be legitimate. So we have a lot of people in denial. That's why we have these things. People are not accepting who they are.
You obviously, like you did say, saw an opportunity in Salaula and you took it. Most people struggle with identifying an opportunity that's fit for them.
Yeah.
There is this thing in Zambia of, Emmanuel is doing Salaula and he said on the podcast that he's making a 25p in half a day. Even me, let me go into it. And then you go into it, you find it's not as good as you thought it was. Or that. How do I identify opportunities around?
One of the things that I'm loving the fact that, lately in our country, we have begun to appreciate things like coaching. We began to appreciate things like counseling. We began to appreciate things like, I've got a problem, Suilanji, and I know you are strong in this area. Please help me. We've begun to appreciate those things. We need to use those services more. You need to understand who you are. You need to understand your interests. You need to understand your passion. And more than anything, advice I love to give people is this. You want to succeed in a business. Don't go in it entirely for the money. Don't get into it entirely for the money. Get into it because you love it. Get into it because you love the idea of doing it.
Some people think that's a cliche, like, it's just theory. It's not...
No, but it's true because I'll tell you that it's very difficult to succeed in a business that you don't actually love. It's very difficult to succeed in a business that you don't love. I'll give you a very good example. Even with our consulting work, or the talking and the training, someone can say, okay, fine, yes, you are definitely doing it for the money. Yes, I'm doing it for the money. And I'll tell you that I want people to appreciate the expertise. I'm talking about where I have come from, where I have worked, and what I have done. If I'm coming to train you, please appreciate that experience or pay. You understand? But I don't mind doing it for free, but don't come to insult me and tell me that I'll give you 500 kwacha, come and do it for a day. Are you getting my point? It's better you tell me you don't have the money so I can come and do it for free than you telling me, actually, I have got a budget for you. There's a 500 kwacha for you. I won't do it. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
It's for the love of it. But at the end of the day, get what it is that is actually due to you because we've got responsibilities. We have children, we have bills to pay, we have parents to take care of. So these things have to bring us money. But how then do you make money with a business that you don't actually love? You can't. Training is pressure. Every time that an organization is actually calling you, they are giving you terms of reference. They are telling you, this is what we want done, this is what we want done. Come on, I need to sit on my desk maybe 2, 3, 4 days and not have sleep to prepare for that training and go and do it. Can you imagine I didn't love it and I was doing it for the money? Do you imagine how stressful that would be? Extremely stressful. You understand? So do it for the money because you want the money, definitely, but can it be something that you actually enjoy doing? Let it be something that you actually enjoy doing. If I did not enjoy doing even my Salaola business, I would probably have stopped by now, or I would have landed myself in a lot of problems, especially money problems. Because on a daily basis, we handle a lot of money for customers who we don't even know. You understand? But they've trusted us that we are going to send them what is theirs. When you are doing it for the passion, it's very difficult for you to manage the challenges that come with it. It's very easy. Someone complains and says, oh, and they bring it back. A bit frustrating, but you take it back. And you say, you know what? I'll make this customer happy because I know that I can get maybe a 20,000 in the next 2 months because she will keep coming. Okay? Someone comes, they're upset with you, vaponta and everything, and you tell yourself, you know what, I will humble myself. Let me treat them well because I know what I want. I'm doing a business. The way I treat them now, they will go and tell somebody else. Whatever it is that you actually are doing, get your heart into it. And that, for me, that's the difference that is there between us and other people. I'll give you a very good example of, maybe let me take you back to this. Lately, I have had my mind literally change because of the sort of people I'm beginning to expose myself to because of the businesses that I do. I'm doing Salaula. Who is doing it? It's the Lebanese, the Indians. I guess the Lebanese, the Indians, the Pakistanis. They're the ones that are actually doing it. I've seen a few Nigerians begin to do it, okay? Sit down with the Lebanese and tell them why he started a business, how he started and where they are. They will tell you, when I started it, I put my feet in it, both my feet. I didn't start it with one and one in the other and said, kapena sivisa sebenza. No, they will tell you, I came, started it, and I had to make it work. Determination. That's something I have picked. If I start something, I'm definitely succeeding at it because I'm putting my all in it. That's one thing I've actually picked from there. The Indians will tell you, I don't care what car I drive, but go and check my bank account. They work hard. They push. They do the right thing. That's their attitude. So passion for what you do can never be overemphasized. Let us become passionate with what it is that we actually do. Don't ever start a business, to answer your question, don't start a business because you have heard that I'm making money with it or you've heard Suilanji is making money with it. Go and start a business because you actually love it. Begin to know the people that are doing that business and they are doing it well and learn from them. And this is another mistake that a lot of people make when they are starting something, Suilanji, and we need to be very particular about it. Here is Suilanji that is actually doing this podcast of his and is getting really amazing views. Are we together? And I'm thinking about starting my own. So Suilanji has built his audience, okay? So I start today with very few people and I'm telling myself I'm becoming Suilanji's competition. No, that's a wrong approach. Can I start it to learn from you? If you can accept that I learn from you, I will grow. But if I want to come and begin to do it like I am your competition, I may end up frustrated. You know why? Because you cannot begin to compare your 5 years of doing something, 5 years of your friend doing something to your 1 year. That's a very wrong approach. That's another mistake that people make when they're actually starting business. They are getting into it to compete. Don't get into it to compete. Get into it to learn and grow and develop a brand. Outside this podcast, you and I were talking about consultants who I have so much respect. And I tell myself, they are far much better. They do it well. But the truth of the matter is that I've developed my own strengths. And I have people who are definitely saying, I'm not getting this one, I am getting him because he's built these strengths. What if I had to get into it and begin to compete? Well, definitely every time that I don't get what it is that I thought I would get and they get it, you begin to feel like you're not doing well. You begin to feel like you're not good enough. That's not how you do business. Get into business to learn, get into business to grow, get into business to pick whatever it is that you actually can pick and become good at it. Whenever it is that you actually start a business, of course, some people are out there want to actually start businesses. One thing I've always said, I'll give you a very good, away from this, I'll tell you something I want to actually start. And my approach is very simple. I am going to become friends to everybody that is actually doing it at that level. Why? Because I want to learn. I want to humble myself enough to pick a few things from them and slowly grow. The cake is so big, irrespective of what it is that you actually start. The cake is so big to be shared. A few days ago, I had a very interesting question, Swilanji, on my page, and somebody was telling me, why do you find it so easy to give people advice on what they can do or they are very strong with? Why do you find it so difficult? Sometimes, even when it is something that you are doing yourself. And I say it is because we are different. It's because we are different, and it's because my destiny is not theirs. So I'm not going to be on this podcast and encourage people to do business and then create certain exceptions. If someone comes to me and asks me that they want to actually start Salaola, I can't give them advice. No, that's wrong. I'm being selective with what it is that I actually do. That's wrong. Why should I not advise somebody to actually start customer service training? In fact, I am even beginning a trainer of trainers to have more people begin to train. Why? Anybody that you are going to help and lead in a certain way will hold you in very high esteem. They will respect you. You are building a brand. When people begin to fail to share certain information about the things that they're doing very well in, it begins to show how insecure they are. It begins to show how insecure they are. And I believe that's not my sort of place. I'm more than happy to see somebody winning. And that we'll keep doing.
There's some people that want to go into certain businesses, but the fear is there are too many people doing this. Like the market is oversaturated. How do I stand out? So, for example, you said the Lebanese are in it, the Nigerians are in it, you are in it, Indians are in it. So it's like there's a horde of these people who are doing this particular business. May not be Salaola, maybe something else. How do I still set foot and put both feet in and succeed in that business where there are already a lot of established players?
That's a very interesting question. You see, the same thing that I actually told you. Don't get into it to go and compete. Get into it to go and do what it is that you actually can and get your share. I can't even compare to what others are making with what I am doing. I can't. I can't. What I make in a month, they probably make it in a day. You understand? The question is, you can't start something and run to the top immediately. You can't do that. You should actually be very grateful that you have the few that are coming, despite many other bigger players coming into it. But the other thing also that I must tell you is that I've got a very interesting way of doing it. You will never see those guys advertising. You'll never see them advertising. Have you ever seen them advertising? They won't do that. I'm very strong at that, and I'm very good at that. You will never hear those guys talk about how they are very good with, they want to, want you to buy, and you can send anywhere they are. They will never talk about that. So what do you do when you're starting a business? Look at the players. Look at what they are doing. Forget about how much they are making. Begin to look at how you can make something with the people that are actually willing to try you. So I'm looking at the idea of delivery. They don't do that. You buy a bell from me, Suelanji, I'll bring it to your house in an hour's time, to your house. I'll bring it at your doorstep. That's a service I offer. People are happy. They are working in the office and they're saying, oh, I saw very nice long sweaters. I'm in Long Acres, and I'm telling them, you make a payment and someone is starting off now. And while they are seated, they'll be told your bill has come. They are happy to do that. Oh, someone is in Chulubi Island and they are saying, I want to buy a bell, but I want to Latina ifwe kwa libana mascammers, and I'll tell them I've been doing this for the last 3 years. If I was stealing from people, I would probably not be advertising today. And certain responses, people now go back and think and say, let's try. And they try. And we begin to have people now in those areas and they begin to buy from us. And that's how we have done it. So I have looked at certain weaknesses that they actually have, and I have tried to capitalize on them. And I've done just that. So every day we are at the station sending those things. Every day we are doing these deliveries. Every day I have someone coming to me and telling me I've brought back the bell. Some of them a bit unreasonable, but I tell myself, I would rather save my business than start fighting with this person and have it blown all over social media. So let me take care of you. Let me sort this out. Others would not do that return. So the idea when you are starting a business is get as much information as possible when you want to start it. Look at how they are doing it and start to ask yourself, if I went into this market, what would I be wanting to do differently? What would I want to actually do differently? And you begin to do it differently. And definitely, people are going to actually come. And don't forget, I always talk about my advice, consistency. The other thing that I've also come to really, and a little disappointing with especially people that are actually starting, is that there are people that actually believe that a business should grow itself on its own. It should just grow. I also love to tell people this, that people don't buy a product they don't know. They don't buy a product they don't understand. A closed mouth is a closed shop. If you don't talk about what you do, don't wonder why people don't come to buy, because you don't talk about it. Who should talk about it for you? So every day I advertise my Salaula. Every day I advertise my training. And now I tell people, here is a proof of consistency with what it is that I actually do. Do that, Suilanji. Go on social media and put a post. I'm looking for nice Salaula bells. Please give me a contact for someone that can supply. I want you to get 50 comments. If my name is not there, let me come and give you a 5-pin. Why? Why am I saying that? It is because I know the amount of work that I have put into it. I sing about it. I talk about it. Every day that I have to talk about it, there's a good chance that 10, 5, 6, 7, 8 more people are knowing about it. So why wouldn't I want to actually talk about it? Sometimes I love to challenge people, especially those that I coach one-on-one, to say, look, if you have a big bank, okay, I don't send them an invoice. I don't know who you will even send that invoice to, really. ABSA. Who doesn't know ABSA? Everybody does. They'll walk into it and they'll do whatever it is that they actually want. Maybe they don't even have to advertise. They still have business. But they are on social media and, sponsoring pages. So what about you that starts a business today?
Coca-Cola is a good example.
Are you getting my point? Exactly. Who doesn't know about it? But do you know that they're having a really serious run for their money in South Africa with Pepsi?
Yeah, but here in Zambia, they advertise everywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, even with sales, they are really having a good run. So when you start a business, get committed to advertising it. Get serious with it. The other thing that I always emphasize is this. Suelanji, if you can't show seriousness with what you do, don't expect me to respect what you do, because you don't respect it yourself. If I can't show seriousness with what it is that I actually do, chances are that people are not going to be willing to spend money on it. People are not going to be willing to pay for it. But if I show seriousness with what I do, I am consistent, I attach a serious level of seriousness to it, people will know that's what he is about. And that is his bread and butter, so don't play with it. So go and pay for it.
You see, that's why. Remember when you walked in and you looked at everything and said, "You guys are serious here,"
Yeah.
I also live by that.
Yeah.
Because we can shoot this podcast with phones if we want to.
Exactly. Definitely.
Yeah, but then people think you're jokers.
Yeah.
And then again, I feel like also the level of seriousness you attach kind of like dictates the amount of money you're paid.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So if you got podcast, no, we can't hear the sound is bad. No, the sound, but it's not clear. That also then kind of like compromises the quality of output.
It definitely does.
And most people, and in Zambia, it's always been a thing of no capital. I don't have capital. I don't have money to start a business. What's your take on the capital issue? And then also, would you advise someone to consider like getting a loan to start a business?
I'll tell you what, the issue of capital, sometimes, things that are said about people that are known, some people actually think it doesn't get to them. You know what I mean? If something is said about you, Suilanji, it's Suilanji. We know him. Is known all over. So whatever it is that people actually say to you, they feel you don't actually get it. So there's been this statement that says, "Oh yeah, motivational speakers, they will tell you that they started a restaurant with one rice." You know what I mean?
I've heard of that.
They will lie to us. Guys, I would be very happy to get a person that comes to anybody and says, "I gave Emmanuel 10,000 kwacha loan to start a business." Or I gave Emmanuel 50,000 kwacha loan to start a business. I would be very happy to get that person. But nobody did. And when we talk about how that you can start with very little, people don't believe. They talk about capital. And Suilanje, please give me the opportunity to talk about this capital issue that people need to understand. especially our young people. There is no bank, there is no one out there in the world that is willing to give you money to start a business. It's only your relative. The reason is very simple. If I'm a bank and I'm coming to you to give you money, I'm looking at how capable you are of repaying that money. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at what you have already started. You understand? I'm definitely looking at what you have already started. I'm not looking at your business plan. I am looking at what you have already started. I'm looking at your books. I'm looking at how much you are making. I'm looking at if you are paying. I'm checking if you are paying your workers. I'm checking if you are paying your renters. And I'm telling myself, if I pump money into this business, then there is a money back guarantee. And that's when I'll give you that money. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So if you are talking about capital and you want to get it from somebody, what do you have to offer them? What do you have to show them? That's my biggest question to young people, to youths. What are you showing them to say this is what it is that I actually have? And I'm sure that I'll give you back this 100,000 kwacha that I'm getting from you. So that's where we get it. So today, we actually have a lot of people that talk about how that, no, banks are not very helpful to people that are just starting. No, man, they are in business. So no one is coming to fund a project that you are starting. There's a lot of people that are willing to come and pump money into what you have already started. That's what happens. So if you are out there, and one thing that I've been talking about, and I told myself this year I'm going to talk about it as much as I can, is monetizing your skills. Monetizing your skills. How do you do that? In the neighborhood, they even know that if I call John to come and fix the taps, or there's a blockage somewhere in the sewer system or whatever, he's coming to do an amazing job. But every time you do that, you come back with a thank you. You don't have a job, you have responsibilities, and you keep complaining that there are no opportunities. I love to tell people, sometimes God withholds certain blessings because he wants us to begin to see what he has already given us. How did I raise my capital? I gave myself to do talks. So I go and do an MC work and I have a bit of money, so I'm keeping some money. How did I start my consulting work? With nothing. I had my phone, my laptop, and so what am I doing? Graphic designs, post about what I'm doing, photos of whatever work I'm actually doing, and I am slowly building it. So people should stop talking about, I want capital of this amount. Guys, a good number of people that have started businesses with loans of a lot of money, maybe 99%, those businesses have actually failed. Here's my advice. Start small. Start small. If you're looking at starting a bakery, guys, start from doing fritters and scones. Start from there if you have to. Because no one is coming to give you money to set up a bakery. There's nobody coming to do that. If you are looking at opening a boutique and you want to do very well, start with Kamwala. Go to Kamwala, pick cheap stuff, sell online. And you see things have become very easy because you can literally sell anything on social media. And today, Suwilanji, what we have is more of youths that feel sorry for themselves than those that get up to go and actually do work. Whatever it is that you're actually good with, what are you doing about it? What are the things that you can do to begin to let people begin to pay you? Every day, your house is filled with people that are coming because they know Jen plats hair. So you plait it for free. So one day you decide, I'm going to put a poster on the gate and say, no free plaiting. A few people will not come, but a few will come. And you can start your business like that. But the problem that we have is that there was a time somebody told me that I'm a very privileged person. That's why I talk like this. I've got connections.
Yeah. And
and
you see the connection, the connections bit always comes.
Yeah.
There's something I posted on social media some few days back, and people said no. I think I was talking about something to do with jobs or something. I talked about when you apply for a job, make sure that you meet 50% of the those responsibilities that they put there. Like, one someone can do this. I said, as you apply to reduce your rate of rejection, make sure you meet at least 50% of those requirements. And people are saying, yeah, but also it's connections. And people, they have this in their mind, and most people self-reject, as in you disqualify yourself before you even undertake the process, because you feel for every job advert, there's already someone, it's a formality. Someone with connections already got the job. And people really just sit down.
And I'll tell you that I think that has killed a lot of people. That has made a lot of people just sit back and do nothing about it. I'll give you this very good example of even our works, our consulting works. This is the truth, okay? We've done work with ZCCM Investment Holdings. We never knew anybody there. We sold ourselves, and they gave it to us. We didn't know anybody that needed to push for us with Zambia National Commercial Bank. We did that. Of course, I began to do a bit of influencer work with them, and later, but we did training with them. You understand? And they paid. Nobody was pushing. Today, I'm actually in the process of finishing some recruitment for a mining firm in Kansanshi. 3/4 of the people that we have hired in that mine, I never even met them before we did that advert. I never did. We set it up, starting from the human resource manager, his assistant, everybody. Not my wife never knew anybody. The guys that are helping us at the office never knew anybody. We advertised, looked at their qualifications, did interviews, they impressed us, and we gave them those jobs. That's what we did. But there's somebody that has very good papers and still waiting for a connection somewhere. That is wrong. That is very wrong. Most of the works that I have done, I have never had to know anybody. And let me maybe begin to talk about that connection. There's something I love to post, and I sometimes come out a bit strong on it to say, look, stop looking for connections. You become a connection. How do you become that? Be relevant with what you do. Be serious with what you do. People that are doing that will begin to get to know you. And then when they begin to get to know you, they begin to talk about you. 2, 3, 4 days, you become the go-to person. So they are saying, you want proper broadcasting stuff? Kosu Ilanji. Did you need a connection? No. You make yourself relevant, and connections begin to come. Truth is that we talk about connections and how that we have them until we have a problem and no connection comes for us. Make yourself relevant. If you are doing something, if you've got a barber shop, do your hair properly, and you cut hair for people that are very influential. That is your connection you are making. Just become relevant. Do what you do very well, and people will know you for it. Then you become relevant. This thing of always busy looking for connections, that thing does not work. The other thing about it is that if you have connections, there are some times when you begin to feel like you are forever indebted to people that actually did a connection for you. Is that how you would rather live? Guys out there, especially on this thing of people getting jobs, believe me, I equally get those attacks because we do CV designing. There are a lot of people in these institutions. Yes, people say people are corrupt. People say no, there's a lot of nepotism. People say no, there's a lot of tribalism. There's all this and that. But I'll tell you that even in the midst of that, we also have very professional people in these organizations. Extremely professional. Very professional. Yesterday, I was trying to actually do a post after watching, an episode of The River, a South African, where this girl graduates and the brother and aunt are working for that mine, and she believed she automatically needed a job. And the auntie said, no, you are making an application and I'm going to screen you like any other person. And when I think you deserve it, I will give you a job. Believe me, guys, there are people in these organizations that are that professional, and they will stand their grounds and say, we are picking the best, and not because they are known by somebody. Try your luck. Stop looking at how that people have connection. Do the right thing. You need to do the right thing. Have a good CV, good job interview skills. Sell yourself well, and go and get that job. Ask people around, even people that have got big director positions. Some of them will tell you it's never been about connections. It's been about them being relevant, and now they begin to get noticed. That is it. So, Ilanje, I feel we need more of these workshops where youths are seriously empowered. But the problem is that they would rather go for some musical show and not such. But I believe a lot of people need that help. You don't need connections to do something.
Yeah, but you have to convince someone about that.
Yes,
Like you really have to.
But I'll also tell you that you can only go so far. So if you are doing your best to try and convince, that's just about where you end. It's up to them.
Yeah, no, I get your point. I feel like for some people also, I feel like it's something where you've seen it for yourself. Where like, but that guy is not as that guy struggled at school, you know. But he got it. How? I have been, and some things you can't explain because people just say, you know what, we've seen it for us.
Time and chance, and
Yeah,
sometimes
come to us.
maybe that's not your place. Time and chance, maybe that's not your place.
And that's also something most people don't, I feel like people don't fully understand. There are some things I've come to understand, even in my own life, my own experiences. There are some things that I really wanted. I really wanted them, but they didn't come to me.
Exactly.
And now looking back, I feel like if I had gotten that, I would not have gotten what I have now. But at the moment, at the time it was happening, I was so convinced that this is for me.
It's this or nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
It's always like that. I was telling you a story of my HR thing. To date, I'm a trainer and I've never been in HR, despite having studied HR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have been more than happy. But maybe if I became human resource manager, I would not be training human resource managers today.
Yeah. I get that because
So
even for me,
yeah.
I work full time at ZNBC, you know.
Yeah.
But before I joined ZNBC, I tried my private media station. It never worked. Like it just never worked. You go for an audition, they turn you down, you know, good enough. It never worked, you know. But now everyone in these media stations, where do they want to come? It's at ZNBC. Which would not have worked for me if I, you know. So, yeah, it takes time to see it.
It does. It does. And the other thing is, I think I have a really big problem with people that feel sorry for themselves. When something is not working, it doesn't mean that your life is coming to an end. It could be that that's not your thing. When something is taking long to come, it doesn't mean that it will not come. In most cases, actually, we give up when it is just about to come. So life, we can plan life. We can plan what we want to, do. But the truth of the matter is that God has got a way that he also wants us to, God has got his own plans. And that is why we always, we will have to, maybe get reminded to say, we need to be in his will and see where he actually takes us. If a job is denied and you've got so many responsibilities and so many things to take care of, it's not that God has forsaken you. Maybe he's looking at something bigger. The biggest problem there is you giving up. You give up and you forget about it.
Mr. Mukula, your top 5 advice to people watching this podcast, what would be the 5 things you'd say to someone watching right now?
I'll tell you what. There are a good number of people that are following me on social media that have literally seen me growing up, growing with them. And one thing that I really like is one comment that somebody made on one of my posts, and they said, I get encouraged by you every day because I've literally seen your transformation from when you were almost nothing to what you have become. Here are my lessons. I'm going to pick them up from myself.
Yeah.
You should never believe in yourself. You should believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, don't expect another person to believe in you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you will not exert that confidence. You will not bring out that believe in yourself. Never, ever look down on yourself. Irrespective of where you are far much more than you are. Think outside the box and go out there and get what is due to you. What you actually deserve. The other point is, when you start something, we were talking about business. When you start something, yes, you have that Kantemba mentality, but begin to get rid of it and think big with your business. Think big with your business. If you are out there, you're listening to us and you're saying, oh, I sell clothes online. I go pick, sell clothes online, or I go to South Africa, I sell stuff online. If you've been doing that for 3, 4, 5 years, think about opening a store. Think about hiring people. Think about expanding whatever it is that you actually are doing. Anything that does not grow begins to become stagnant. Anything that is stagnant begins to smell and it dies later. Grow yourself. you begin to grow yourself. The other thing,
that one is deep.
I'm telling you, it's very important.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to actually say is that there's nobody out there that actually owes you a life. No one owes you a life. There's nobody out there that is seated waiting for you to just shout out and be given something like handouts. No one owes you a life. You can be mad at your father. You can be mad at your uncle. You can be mad at your auntie. You can be mad at whoever you believe should have given you an opportunity to do something. But ultimately, it comes back to you. No one owes you a life. Everything is about you. When you start something, make it clear that you have started something and be consistent with it. Be consistent in the way you advertise. Be consistent in the way you talk about it. Be consistent in the way that you treat customers and keep growing. My last point is when you start something, because we are doing business, be humble enough to get to know the people that have been doing it better than you and get as much information as you can from those that are doing better, because there lies your growth. There lies your growth. And more than anything, remain humble. Remain very humble. Growing up, we saw our mother trying to convince us, I've never talked about this, trying to convince us that actually when you are given chibwaba with no cooking oil, it is more nutritious than one that actually has cooking oil. Now, that is because she did not have money to buy cooking oil. And she wanted to see her children eating. Today, I don't think there's anything my mother cries for. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It does not matter. What matters is what it is that you actually decide to make out of yourself. No, all these guys that we actually are seeing and doing it big, they were never born with a silver spoon in their mouths. They have had to pick themselves up from the worst of situations, and today they have made it. You should never feel sorry for yourself. Never look down on yourself. Think highly of yourself and tell yourself, I am capable. I can move to the next level. Thank you, Swelanji.
Wow. I feel like this is my first time hearing you speak, because I don't know. I see your posts on social media.
You need to meet often, huh?
Yeah. I'm thinking that because I see your posts on social media. Or I've seen you a lot at ZNBC, with Real Love and whatnot. So in my head, you are more like the love person, marriage counseling person. I've never seen that side of you. The first time I heard you speak was at Yangeni's book launch, but you only spoke for like 2-3 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And hearing you talk right now, you're very, very relatable. I feel like it's easy for anyone to understand and connect with you. And I feel like we need a lot more conversations like this.
We need them.
Because I don't feel... unless you just have a problem, you can't...
Especially with big platforms like yours, we need these conversations.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you must just have a disorder if you constantly listen to people like you and you're not changing, you're not growing, you're not progressing, then there's just something that your ancestors...
One of the things that I decided I want to do was to do a lot of mentorship. And those that have made themselves available can attest to the fact that things are actually happening. And I'm always open. Maybe we should start to do these free workshops, huh?
Yeah, but again, to be honest, I don't believe in free things.
I don't like free things. The other day I was actually, talking to, I think posting something on Dumisani's page. He actually said there was a time he did a function where people had to pay and it was well attended. He did one that was free and it was not well attended. Anything that is free, actually people begin to think...
No, not even that. People may come.
Yeah.
Okay, they may come. But the downside is they will not attach value as if it were had they paid.
That's the point.
It's like a book. You get 500 kwacha and you go and buy a book.
Yes.
You don't just go home and pack it.
You want to read it.
But if you come to me and say, can I borrow the book? You won't even read it.
That's true.
Because you did not pay for the
book.
There's no value. So whether you read or not, nothing has changed. But you can't just on a book, it's 500 kwacha I spent.
But
let me get something out of it.
Exactly.
So no, it's good. We should constantly have these conversations.
No, we
feel
need
like
to.
There's a whole lot to learn. There's a whole lot to learn. And I feel like this is good because, to be honest, like, I have been sick. Like, even right now, I'm going straight home. I'm not feeling well. But I feel like we just had to
We need to do this.
And
right?
I feel like...
No, but you look good. You look good.
Yeah? People like us, we hardly get things, people don't know. But yeah, no, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much.
How do people follow you? Where they find you?
Well, following me, Coach Emmanuel Mukula, that's my page. There's Coach Emmanuel Mukula and there's Emmanuel Mukula. I've got my personal, profile and there's a page, Coach Emmanuel Mukula.
That's on Facebook?
That's on Facebook.
Only?
That's on Facebook. If you want to follow me on the professional side of things or LinkedIn, it's Emmanuel Mukula.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mukula, thank you very much for your time.
I'm so grateful, Swilanji. This means a lot to me. I know there's many other people you would have wanted to talk to, but this is good for me. I'm grateful. Thanks.
Yeah, you remind me of Garamukhan. I told you before. Like, just remind me of Garamukhan.
Let the man rest.
We'll see you guys on episode number 33. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Follow him, like you did say. There's a lot to learn. And I feel like you can only learn if you're humble. Humble means you take on the position of, I don't know so much.
Yes.
What do you have to give me? Let me drink from your cup.
We are also still learning.
Yeah, because if you assume you know everything, then you make mistakes and you're not, humble enough
That's
to
why we
know
actually
how,
lose it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, tag someone, invite someone so that they can also benefit. Don't be selfish with the information. Have a good day.
Thanks.